Okay, I think I got 5.
Okay, now why don't you start in this corner? This work, growing native plants from seed all the way to starts and then putting them in the park is very important in that ecological sense.
All right, I think it's packed in.
And for the visitor experience, of course.
We have, in a typical non-COVID year, about 2,000 volunteers a year who work with us here at Mount Rainier, and they help out in just about every aspect of the park's management and operation here. They allow us to do so much more than we could do without their help. They are some of the best people in the world because they do it because they're passionate about it, they're passionate about the place, and not because they're getting paid for it or anything. It's just a labor of love.
Butterflies are probably the most visible pollinator, and they've been used as indicators of what other pollinator groups, how they're responding to climate change. Well, the Cascades Butterfly Project came about when we were establishing a long-term monitoring program for natural resources. Washington's National Park Fund has been a part of the Cascades Butterfly Project almost from its inception, being able to provide butterfly nets and books, whether it's for loan or for keeps, to volunteers. It takes away a hurdle for somebody thinking of learning butterflies. Well, without volunteers, there would be no program, I would say.
As volunteers with the Cascade Butterfly Project, my wife, Brenda Cunningham, and I go multiple times each summer up to Easy Pass.
My favorite butterfly is the one I can catch. They're not as easy to catch as you would think. There are a number of plant species that probably would not get pollinated and not persist if it weren't for the presence of butterflies. But beyond that, you know, there's an intrinsic value to everything, in my opinion. So I think that part of preserving and protecting butterflies is for future generations.
The most common volunteer activity here at Mount Rainier is the Trails program, and that allows them to work with 500, 600, 700 people on weekends throughout the summer. After that, we do a lot of work with the Meadow Rover program in the park. That's a program where people hike the trails above Paradise and Sunrise, educating people about the importance of staying on the trails in those fragile subalpine environments, and also just helping people find their way, making people feel welcome, giving them good safety messages as they head out into the backcountry, something that we call preventative search and rescue, and which is very, very important for keeping our visitors safe here in the park. I consider the volunteer program one of the best investments that you can make in the national parks. And just to put some hard numbers with it, well, the last year before the COVID pandemic, we had about 70,000 hours of volunteer service. That's about $1.75 million value in dollars. Now, Washington's National Park Fund provides the largest portion of the funding that we use to support the volunteers in the parks. So $90,000, that's most of our funding. In return, we get $1.75 million in return. It's about a 6 or 7 to 1 return on investment. I challenge you to find a better investment.
Here, let me try some more.
Yeah. Volunteers are very important to the native plant program. The big thing is on Mondays and Wednesdays, we have drop-in volunteer program at the Matt Albright Native Plant Center. So volunteers can help sow the seeds and transplant them into bigger pots until they're big enough to plant in the field.
Our nursery gives all types of people and volunteers options to learn about native plant habitat.
Washington's National Park Fund helps provide support for everything we do with volunteers. The big thing is it helps pay for staff to help manage the volunteer program. And that's staff to help manage the volunteer program here at the nursery, but also when we have youth programs come out to the park, we're able to work with our youth programs to provide a really safe and inclusive environment as we go out and do revegetation efforts or beach cleanups or whatever it is the project that the youth program is doing.
Their funds are our lifeline. We would not be able to support our youth. We would not be able to teach stewardship. We would not be able to give our volunteers opportunities in parks if we didn't have Washington National Park there to help raise funds to bring these programs to the public.
You know, as we're walking along too, we do meet other hikers who ask us, what are you doing? Why are you carrying these nets and so forth? So we have an opportunity to talk about the project and to talk about the importance of protecting these kinds of places.
To make that connection, to engage with just a pot of dirt and a seed or a plant. It all is about taking steps and building on these experiences.
And I have the best job in the National Park Service. In every way, the job that we do as National Park Rangers is so much better because of our volunteers.
We just appreciate our volunteers so much, and we know that without them we couldn't do what we do.